To get ahead in this world, you need a good education, but it costs. Today we discuss where to find free money for education. Then investing with your social conscience. And gas, hybrid, or electric cars, which is better? All this and more on today's episode of The Wealthy Life. Welcome to The Wealthy Life. Post-secondary education is expensive, but usually leads to higher income levels for life. So how do you pay for it? Gwen Campden, manager of student success at Royal Roads University, is going to explain how you can get free money. Gwen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, free money. Who doesn't want that?
I want it.
Me too.
Yeah.
So when it comes to tuition, post-secondary education can be quite expensive. What does it typically cost a student?
Well, it really depends on what you're studying and where you're studying. So you have to take things into consideration like the cost of tuition, fees, books, the regular cost of living, and that depends on where you're living. So a big city versus a small community.
Makes a big difference.
Yes.
Now, you as manager of student success, I love that title, by the way.
Thank you.
You've seen this. How many years have you been working in the post-secondary field?
20 years.
Okay, so you know a few things.
I know a few things.
So it's very expensive, but it does range in value. So what are some ways that people can access some free money to help pay for it?
Right. Well, there's a ton of awards and bursaries available to students, as well as student loans and lines of credit from your bank. But the awards, that's the non-repayable funding that you want to pursue.
Okay, so what is the difference between an award versus a bursary, scholarship, grant?
Yeah, so an award is primarily given in recognition of merit or achievement or community involvement. A bursary...
You have to earn it.
You
so
have to earn it.
Absolutely. You
Absolutely.
have to earn. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but there's a variety of award types. Like if you're interested in cultures, languages, sports, it's a wide variety. It's not just academic.
Okay.
Bursary is for financial need, well, primarily financial need based, where if there are things in your life that have prevented you from earning an award, that's where the bursaries are filling that gap.
Oh, so it's nice. So a lot of people who maybe, just struggle to make ends meet in their home life, but have the smarts to go to school and want to grow, they can maybe tap into the bursary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Creates a more equitable learning environment.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And then what about a scholarship?
Scholarships are generally large awards. So something about $5,000 up is considered a scholarship.
Those sound good. Now, what do you have to do to earn a scholarship?
Scholarships are generally a large investment in your education. So you have to start earning those early in your journey.
Okay.
In your early education, you start volunteering in the community, especially if you're looking for volunteer opportunities that will support your educational or career journey.
So it's not just about grades?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. No. So people can work hard at school, but maybe not have straight A's. But if they are giving back to the community, that looks good on a scholarship application.
Absolutely. Awards look at the whole student, so the profile of a student. It's at Royal Roads, we generally don't look at grades for awards in course, so after you have started your program, but it's about what kind of a person are you? How are you a good citizen and giving back? So generally the people that give are the ones that other people want to help.
Right, okay, so you're talking about in course. Mm-hmm. So there's some money available before you even start, so to help pay for that first year. And then once you're in a program, there's some awards available specifically for you once you're in the program.
Yes. Yes, so entrance awards are something you want to look at early. So early in your educational planning, start looking for those entrance awards on the university or college site that you're planning to attend. And put really good effort into that because it's competitive. Okay. So the awards that you'll see through the university or college, that's the low-hanging fruit. That's what people can find pretty easily, and the universities tend to make it easy to apply. So put some good effort into that because you're going to expect some competition for it.
Right, but at least try.
Absolutely.
And so go on, whatever school you're going to, Look on their website and you'll see a list of awards there.
Yes.
And then apply for anything you possibly qualify for.
Yeah, check the eligibility and apply for it. Don't you say no. Let somebody else say no.
You know, it sounds so obvious, but I don't think many students even know that, and to go online and to look for it. So it may be competitive, but there may be a few things on there that not many people apply for. So give it a shot.
Well, absolutely. And a way that you can become the competitive applicant
Yes.
is by addressing the criteria. That's what I see a lot of students not really doing. And those are, so you don't see quality applications. It's the student is trying to tell your story, but you really have to look at what the criteria is and what they want to hear from you. So find the key words in the message of the award, write an essay about those keywords.
Tie it in together.
Be the best applicant.
So I hear that there's sometimes huge awards out there, like $50,000.
Yeah.
How do I get $50,000?
That you have to start earning early in your educational journey by volunteering, by building up the profile of the ideal student in that field. So the $50,000 awards are for doctoral students generally. So higher level, but you start earning them early by building up that profile of a really strong candidate, which is you've further on in your education, you've gone from volunteering to building up your scholarly activity on your curriculum vitae. That's like your educational resume. Where you have publications, conference presentations, you've got some research under your belt. And
so there's a lot of work to do there, but it is available. So where can our viewers go to find out more about how to earn all these awards?
Yeah, check out the university's websites, and for the external scholarships that you don't see on the websites, check out scholarshipscanada.com and yconic.com.
Okay, scholarshipscanada.com and yconic.com.
Yes.
Gwen, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure.
And after the break, how you can align your investments with your values.
The Wealthy Life is brought to you by investment dealer Raymond James. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Want to invest while maintaining your values? Learn about ESG investing from portfolio manager Tom Plunkett and client services representative Rachel Welsh. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Sybil.
Great to have you both here. So, Rachel, I'm going to start with you. What is ESG investing? It's a term that everybody is using right now.
Yeah, definitely. So ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. So this is a set of non-financial criteria that people can look at when they're choosing their investments and if they want to ensure that their investments align with their values.
So Tom, maybe expand on that a little bit more. Why is that important to people these days?
Well, giving someone the opportunity to invest, which is typically a financial situation, allowing them to unleash their morality and their priorities is just a great feature that investing allows nowadays.
So when you're looking at companies to invest in, what are some of the triggers? How do you know which companies meet some of these ESG guidelines?
Can I take this, Rachel? Because I talk to my pals about ESG investing all the time, and as I lay out, sometimes in Alberta, ESG is a 4-letter word. But let me give you an example of with my friend Gary and my friend Paul. My friend Gary, he likes to invest in individual stocks, and specifically oil and gas stocks. So what Gary's able to do is get on the internet on a site called Yahoo Finance, and there's a sustainability tab that he can tap onto, and up pops an ESG score from Sustainalytics. And Sustainalytics is one of a dozen really large rating agencies for ESG metrics. It's important that Gary figure out what Sustainalytics is measuring and what is their methodology and what the actual number means. But in one fell swoop, Gary can look on the internet and get a score. So for instance, if he wants to choose between Suncor and Canadian Natural Resources, he can go to this website, hit the button, get an ESG score for Suncor versus Canadian Natural Resources.
Well, that's pretty handy for the average investor, so they at least know it's got a good score from an ESG perspective. Doesn't mean it's going to be the right company to invest in or not. It's only one variable, but very handy tool for investors.
For sure. And that's for individual securities. Let me tell you about my friend Paul, because he doesn't like individual securities. He likes mutual funds and ETFs. And there's another website that your viewers might like knowing about, and that is a website from MSCI Fund ESG. And on there, you can type in the code for your mutual fund or your ETF, and up pops MSCI's score for ESG. And again, it's important to know what the methodology is and what the actual number means. But it's a really handy way to get a sense of what the environment and social governance scores are.
Wow,
and let me point out to you that, and it's important for me to say this because we're from Alberta, but it's important for me to say that, you know, it wouldn't surprise anybody that Canadian Natural Resources and Suncor have really poor environment scores, but their social and governance scores are actually pretty good. And you take all of those into consideration when you're making your investment decisions.
So Rachel, when it comes to suitability, risk, and returns, how does ESG investing play a role in that?
So you don't have to necessarily give up your hopes of getting a good return on your investments. You can see some quarterly results, even alone from 2020, showing that actually ESG investments have performed quite well. So you no longer have to choose between a sustainable company or a company that performs well. There are many studies that actually do show that you can actually get both now. A very sustainable company that is aligned with your values and that does perform well, and sometimes even better than a standard investment.
Well, that's great. And you know, those tools and those websites, Tom, that you mentioned earlier are fantastic, because I don't think the average investor realizes that there's such an easy thing, an easy lookup tool available for them. Now, ESG investing, obviously, there's a lot more to consider, and you have both put together a fantastic guide on ESG investing. So contact us at thewealthylife.com if you'd like a copy of this. Tom, Rachel, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you very much, Sybil.
Thank you, Sybil.
And are electric cars better than gas-fueled vehicles? Find out after the break.
The Wealthy Life is brought to you by investment dealer Raymond James. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Are you looking for a new car? Auto industry veteran Brad Ostermann is here to explain why you should consider going electric. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
You've been in the car industry for how many years now?
A very long time, well over 20 years. I started in the late 90s.
Okay, so you've seen things evolve over that time, and you'll probably be here for hopefully another 20 years.
Well, yeah, we'll see. If in reference to electric vehicles and electrification of vehicles, it started around that time. You know, the very first hybrids were released sort of in the early 2000s, and then it's really grown from there.
Yeah, so why are electric vehicles so popular right now?
Well, they haven't always been. They're becoming increasingly popular, and there's a number of reasons. I think people generally buy electric vehicles because they're motivated by being green, they're very environmentally conscious, or want to project an image of being environmentally conscious.
They're worried about what other people think, not necessarily being green themselves.
Absolutely.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, and I think that's true of all vehicle purchases. You know, there's a little bit of,
vanity.
The neighbors see the car in the driveway, but also there's a lot of corporate will, so businesses want to be perceived as being green, and I think that it's obviously altruistic to a degree. And an electric vehicle is a good way to project that.
So what are some of the main benefits of an electric vehicle?
Well, I guess there's the environmental side of it, which is significant. Also a cost savings associated with driving an electric vehicle.
Never having to stop at the gas station to fill up with fuel. And we know, gas prices obviously go up and down, but generally they're more up than down, and it's expensive. Yeah. So how what is the big cost difference between electric, like the cost to charge, because not everyone is aware. You still have to pay for that. There still is an electricity bill that is corresponding, but it's way cheaper than gas, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the cost of charging your vehicle in, depending on use, is negligible in comparison to the cost of putting fuel into a vehicle or buying gas for your car. Just rough numbers, if you were to drive 12,000 kilometers a year, which is light for Canada, but normal for where we are in Victoria. 1,000 kilometers in a month. If you're getting 500 kilometers on a tank of fuel and spending $60 on a tank of fuel, it's about $1,400 a year. And we'd see that on the low end. And then, of course, compare that to charging or plugging in a vehicle at home, and it's a significant difference.
It's like a rounding error. Really.
Yeah.
Plus, you can save money if you go plug in at other people's spots.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, and in Victoria in particular, because of our multiple municipalities, all with a will to put in free charging infrastructure, there's lots of options in Victoria, more so than most areas.
Now, of course, that could change over time, and I think that's something that people need to be mindful of. It may not be free to charge out in public forever. But what are some of the drawbacks of the electric vehicle? I'm thinking particularly about distance. So if I want to drive across Canada, is an electric vehicle still a good idea?
Well, infrastructure is getting there. A lot of the major fuel chains are actually putting in electric charging stations into their gas stations. So theoretically, you could. But of course, the electric vehicle takes time to charge. When you put gas in a vehicle, it happens instantly and you're ready to go. An electric vehicle takes time. And even with a quick charging option, it would still be very difficult, or it'd take a lot of planning to make a trip of a significant distance. Right. But the ranges are increasing, every year.
And then if you can plan it around your lunch break or your coffee break, then you're set. How long are these quick charging stations? Like, how long does it take to charge on a quick charge?
It really depends on the vehicle and the charging unit, but generally speaking, you can get up to 80% of a full charge in 20 to 30 minutes as a general rule.
Oh, that's great. So it's not like a 6-hour event.
Yep, but again, quick charges, there aren't as many of them. They're a little bit more difficult to find. It would take some significant planning. The majority of the charging stations out there are level 2 chargers, and they will take upwards of 10, 12 hours to fully charge a vehicle, and people generally use those for a partial charge or use them at home or overnight.
Right. Now, earlier you mentioned there's less mechanical parts associated with an electric vehicle. So what impact does that have on repairs and maintenance costs?
Yeah, well, obviously the fuel cost is significant, and then generally speaking, the maintenance on an electric vehicle, the overall cost would be probably less than half of that on a normal vehicle. It's a bit of a misnomer. People kind of think that an electric vehicle doesn't require maintenance. It's obviously not the case. Yes. It has wearable items like brakes and tires. Yes. Obviously, it has mechanical systems as well as an electric engine. So it does require some maintenance, but significantly less than a typical, internal combustion engine.
So how about the hybrid vehicles? Is that a good compromise for people where they can go the distance, they don't have to plan so far in advance, still keeps the gas costs down?
Yeah, we always advise people to kind of look at their life and lifestyle, their driving habits, and then make a decision between hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or electric vehicle.
Perfect. Well, I'm driving a hybrid myself at the moment, and I have to say I love it because I rarely have to fill up with gas.
Right.
And I think I probably could go to electric, so maybe I need to come down to the dealership and we'll have a conversation.
Absolutely. We'll take care of you.
So, Brad, where can people go to find out more information about grants and rebates available?
There's a lot of websites online. Obviously, a quick Google search will probably lead them in the right direction. Federally, Transport Canada has the IZEV program, or Incentive for Zero Emission Vehicles. And then, depending on your province, there'd be a provincial program if it's available, and you would just find that through your provincial websites.
Great. So not only are electric vehicles less expensive, you can get rebates, which make them cheaper still. Fantastic. Brad, thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And after the break, you can find out how to transfer your recreation property to your kids. Welcome back. Thanks for your emails, tweets, and messages. Today's question is from Lewis. Dear Sybil, my husband and I want to sell our recreation property to our son and his wife. Is there a way to avoid paying capital gains? We would like to sell to them at the price we paid. Well, Lewis, it's a great question, and my own family just went through this situation, the same situation ourselves. Essentially, it doesn't matter if you want to sell it at the price you paid or even give it to your kids. Revenue Canada is going to want to calculate what the profit is and charge you tax on that. And the profit is the difference between the price you paid and whatever the current market value is. Current market value is based on either tax assessments, because that is considered an official statement of current market value, or an appraisal, if you hire a formal appraisal company to come in and appraise it. A real estate assessment from a realtor is not considered adequate enough for Revenue Canada. So if you paid $300,000 for the property, and currently it's worth $500,000, that would be a $200,000 profit. Now, the good news is 50% of capital gains is currently tax exempt, so you don't have to pay tax on half of that. The other half will be taxed. And if you're in a 50% tax bracket, that means that you're going to owe about $50,000 in taxes on your $200,000 profit. One exception to that is if your property is considered farm status. If so, you may be able to transfer the property to your kids with deferring the taxes, meaning not triggering any taxes now. However, those taxes will have to be paid at some point down the road, but it might be the kids' problem to worry about then. So in summary, you are going to have to pay tax, but maybe sell it to the kids for the $300,000 you paid, plus add on an extra $50,000 so you've got the money to pay your taxes. And that wraps up this edition of The Wealthy Life, helping you make smart financial decisions. Join the Wealthy Life Club by becoming a member at thewealthylife.com. You'll get access to everything you need to live your version of the wealthy life.